Feel like it's retribution for what Venezuela has done to the United States of America with our cities and the Tren de Aragua and all the U.S.
What up, though? What up, though? What up, though? What up, though? If you're just not tuning in, just an update. So the U.S. look like I just caught this video on this other guy live. Shout out to the content creator. I'll find out his name and post it on the page. But he covering the story of Venezuela. The U.S. seem like they getting in preparation. It's people jumping in the water. They are like getting in position like they finna do something. So I'm catching up and learning up just like y'all will be. So if you tuning in, that's what's going on. Let me see. The video might be skipping like this because he is live at the moment. Let's see.
Worse. So let me start with this first clip to show you that there is fighter jets off the coast, U.S. fighter jets off the coast of Venezuela. So U.S. military flies 2 fighter jets over the Gulf of Venezuela. I'm going to play this clip.
Tensions in Venezuela. The White House continues to ramp up pressure on Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro.
And this is lawmakers on both sides called for video of an alleged drug boat strike to be released. Our local 10's Ross Ketchke live on Capitol Hill, following it all. Ross.
Good evening, guys. In a recent interview with Politico, President Trump said that Maduro's days in Venezuela are numbered. But meanwhile, here on Capitol Hill, top lawmakers in both parties say they are largely being kept in the dark about those deadly boat strikes in the Pacific and Caribbean, and also the Trump administration's larger strategy on Venezuela.
We'll let the American public now have access to the rationale for this mission.
All eyes on Venezuela as President Trump ramps up pressure on Nicolas Maduro.
I believe it's their duty and responsibility to come to Congress, make the case, and get authorization for continued hostilities.
In recent months, the U.S. moving warships and thousands of troops into the waters off Venezuela.
Más poder tenga la nación.
The Trump administration branding Maduro a narco-terrorist and leader of the infamous Cartel de los Soles. The embattled Venezuelan president accusing the U.S. of imperialism and wanting access to his nation's vast oil reserves. Venezuela's opposition leader, Maria Corina Machado, has been in hiding since January. Her scheduled appearance in Norway today as part of her Nobel Peace Prize suddenly canceled, and her whereabouts still unknown.
Everybody is waiting to see if she will be here. If she's not, it's fully understandable because Nicolas Maduro is hunting her down.
Meanwhile, back in Washington, lawmakers say Congress needs to have a say in any further military action against the South American nation.
We don't know what's going on. What is the president's mission? What's the plan?
Since this summer, the military has carried out nearly 24 deadly strikes on alleged narco boats in the Pacific and Caribbean. One strike in September under extra scrutiny after news broke of a follow-up attack that killed 2 survivors.
They killed shipwreck survivors who are hanging onto the flotsam and jetsam of the boat. That's like killing prisoners of war.
Lawmakers in both parties now calling for video of that mission to be released.
We got to get any videos that do not in any way compromise mission integrity down there. Just get the stuff out there.
We've also learned today the White House has begun drawing up plans on exactly what level of involvement the United States may need to have in Venezuela if Maduro leaves office, either under his own accord or by being forced out of the country.
Ross Ketchke live for us. Ross, thanks so much.
Going.
All right.
Like it's going down.
So, a lot of accounts on social media. The flight radar flight radar 24 images like this that is coming out from the military base, Roosevelt Roads Naval Station in Puerto Rico. Things are happening, folks. Got a tweet here. For instance, attack on Venezuela could be imminent. U.S. Navy AEA-18G Growler electronic warfare aircraft, likely from Electronic Attack Squadron 132 Scorpions, were photographed on the tarmac at the naval station in Roosevelt Roads. That's where we're at. In eastern Puerto Rico. These jets arrived on December 9th after a cross-country transit from their home base. the Naval Air Station, Whidbey Island, Washington. The Scorpions, carrying a significant legacy highlighted by combat operations in Vietnam, Desert Storm, and more recently deployments to Iraq, South Korea, and Japan for electronic attack missions. They specialize in suppressing enemy air defenses through jamming radars, communications, and GPS signals. And these have been spotted now in Puerto Rico at the Roosevelt Roads Naval Station. At the same time, military jets have been, F-18 Hornets have been flying off the coast of Venezuela. On Flight Radar 24, they come up as Rhino 12. So we got our eyes on Rhino 12. I don't see any right now. Now, there's some people in the chat that are literally saying, nothing's going to happen. This is false news. This is fake news. Listen, folks, whether you believe it or not, I'm sharing with you what is being put out there. And there's definitely something going on here in the last 24 hours. Big. From those electronic, taking out electronic devices and stuff, those military craft, to the build up here of the Marines, to the flights that are flying out of Puerto Rico, going down towards Venezuela. Something is brewing, folks, and there's talk about imminent strikes. Now, I want to play a clip that just got shared by Fox News. It's Rand Paul. And the title of this video is Trump Could Soon Strike Venezuelan Territory. Rand.
So as y'all see, the U.S., like he's saying and showing, we don't know for sure, but it's definitely speculation because we setting up all our fighter jets and like he just said, it's like they getting into position right now. You know what I'm saying? So anything bound to happen.
Rand Paul joins Democrats on war powers resolution. And we'll play this. Listen up. It's very interesting.
As the White House continues its campaign against suspected Venezuelan drug boats, President Trump delivers another warning to President Nicolas Maduro's regime. He says he has not ruled out the possibility of sending U.S. troops into Venezuela.
So how far would you go to take Maduro out of office?
I don't want to say that.
But you want to see him out?
His days are numbered.
Can you rule out an American ground invasion?
I don't want to rule in or out. I don't talk about it.
Kentucky Senator Rand Paul sits on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee and is the chair of the Senate Homeland Security Committee, and he joins me now. I know, Senator, that you have concerns about President Trump going to war in Venezuela, or at the very least, mounting some sort of an invasion. Do you think that that is in the cards?
You know, I'm kind of old-fashioned. I kind of like to obey this thing called the Constitution. The Constitution says that war only occurs when it's declared by Congress. The president doesn't have the power to take the country to war. Now, if he does, he wouldn't be the first president to disobey the Constitution. But I think we should obey the Constitution because I think it makes war less likely. This would be a war of choice. It would be an offensive war, albeit a war to get rid of people most of us find distasteful. But it would be unconstitutional for the president to do this alone. So if he thinks he wants war with Venezuela, he should come and ask for permission from Congress the way it was intended.
You know, there are a lot of presidents in the past who have not come to Congress for permission to go to war. I happened to put together this list. Started with Truman in the Korean War, Johnson
Obama
in the Vietnam War,
Reagan.
Reagan, the Grenada invasion, as well as Libya, President Clinton, the Kosovo War, where we were bombing Syria, Obama, Libya, and ISIS, President Trump, Syria airstrikes, and the Soleimani strike. How could Congress stop the president this time?
I'm reminded of what my mother would tell me when I was a kid. 10 wrongs don't make a right. So the fact that 10 presidents have done it incorrectly doesn't make it right. Our founding fathers were united to a person. All those who signed, all those who debated over the Constitution, the Federalist Papers were unanimous that Congress should declare war. No president should on his own. Now, we have disobeyed that. But we do have the ability, if Congress rose up in a clear 2/3 majority and said no, we could overturn any veto. Rarely do you get 2/3 vote, so it is very hard to stop a president hell-bent on war. But what I liked most about President Trump was his idea that he didn't believe in regime change war. He was against the Iraq war. He was against the war in Libya. So I hope that his instincts will prevail. I fear that there are people around him who have ulterior motives and are pushing him towards war, but I hope it won't come to that.
Well, he does seem to be interested in regime change in Venezuela. The president said the other day that Maduro's days are numbered. And a way that he's putting pressure on Maduro is with all of these strikes against these drug boats that are running either through the Caribbean or the Eastern Pacific. Here's what the president said about the possibility
that looked crazy.
of releasing video of the second strike that occurred on September the 2nd. Listen here.
Mr. President, you said you would have no problem with releasing the full video of that strike on September 2nd off the coast of Venezuela. Secretary Hegseth now says...
You said that. I didn't say that. This is ABC fake news.
You said that you would have no problem releasing the full video. Okay, well, Secretary Hegseth...
Whatever Hegseth wants to do is okay with me.
He now says it's under review. Are you ordering the secretary to release that full video?
Whatever he decides is okay with me.
The president had said earlier, about a week earlier, that he would have no problem with that second video.
Trump be on it.
Do you believe it should be released?
And I'm putting no words in my
Yes, without
mouth.
question. I think if people were to see the images of people clinging to the wreckage, there would not be much sympathy for Secretary Hegseth. To order the killing of people who shipwrecked is clearly illegal according to military justice, according to our own military laws. And, I have members of my staff who were high-ranking in the military, and they tell me this is done for the protection of our soldiers. If our pilots have to eject from a plane, we show that we don't shoot people. We don't shoot pilots that are descending by parachute. If we blow up a boat and there are survivors, we don't shoot those people. We don't sidle up in a boat and take a 9mm pistol out, put it to their head and shoot them. Nobody would do that. But just because the missiles come from a long distance doesn't make it any more right. But it's clearly against our laws of war. And even deeper than that, there is a question of, are unarmed people that are smugglers part of a war? Are we in the middle of a war with unarmed people? Why don't they present evidence that they're in arms? Why don't they present evidence that these boats are even coming to the United States? These are small motorboats, often 2,000 miles from our shore. If they have drugs, which hasn't been proven, if they have drugs, they're probably taking it to neighboring islands. So this is a crazy thing that we've never done before. And to make a crime into a war is to stretch.
He definitely got to be a liberal.
To the point that I think a lot of common sense people don't buy it.
Well, President Trump seems to be aiming at the supply chain of drugs that come to this country and kill an awful lot of people every year. As you know, Admiral Bradley gave a briefing to members of Congress last week. Here's what the Wall Street Journal said after that briefing. This is the editorial board. Congress is investigating whether the Trump administration fired on defenseless survivors on a drug boat, and the emerging details suggest this story is less than it initially appeared. But the episode still carries lessons about command accountability and larger questions about the Trump war in the Caribbean. I think Bradley told members of Congress that there were members of the Judge Advocate General's office, lawyers, who were following along every step of the strike against this boat on September the 2nd. And they said that he was within his legal bounds, according to Admiral Bradley, to take it out.
I guess my question would be, if the Admiral were there on the scene and he came up in a follow-up boat, would a rate of 1 in 4?
Maybe I'm wrong, but that's my take on that situation. But yeah, for the fact that Rand Paul would go on to Fox today, just about an hour ago, and speak about this, issue, and the fact that you got a military buildup here, you got planes flying all over the place, I feel like something's about to happen, because this isn't a bluff. You know how much this costs? You know how much you think the Trump administration, after promoting fiscal spending and fiscal responsibility and DOGE and cleaning out the government waste, would waste taxpayers' money for a bluff? I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think they're in the business of wasting taxpayers' money by just sending all these. You know how much this costs?
Right.
You think this is just $1 million? This is probably $1 billion operation that we see right here. Literally.
That's crazy.
You're not just, somebody has to pay for it. We're all paying for this. But it's building. It's building. And there's a clip out by CBS Evening News talking about the fighter jets flying along the coast of Venezuela.
That's what I
every
wanna
time
see.
they fuel up and fly a jet, that costs tens of thousands of dollars. Every time you fly a jet, a military jet, millions. This is probably $1 billion that the government has spent on Venezuela since September. All those strikes, all the weaponry, all the missiles hitting the narco boats. About 24 got struck? Millions, missiles, millions. Sure, you're just going to do this for a bluff, or just to just go all the way to the edge and say, we're just going to let Maduro stay. They are ramping up the pressure, and Maduro seems defiant here. There has been talks that other countries might accept them, amnesty, asylum. There's an amnesty talk, asylum. He got an indictment on him. Maduro got an indictment. There's a $50 million bounty on his head for his capture.
It sure is.
You think the United States government is going to let him go? Maybe, if he relinquishes power, possibly. I got this clip here. Speaking of taxpayers, the money wise and everything. That's why I don't think this is a bluff. You might. I don't.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay on the story, man. Like I said, we go all around the world and see what's going on. You feel me? So as you see it, the U.S. is like they setting up shop near Venezuela, if I'm saying that right. But yeah, we'll stay covering the story, man. Keep y'all updated. So that's what's going on now. So like the channel, subscribe, so you can stay in the loop of what's going on. Keep you updated, baby. You feel me? I'm out.